Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be discussing Osoronga. I'm sorry if I'm murdering that pronunciation, but yeah, you see the title. So if you can actually pronounce it, let me know how well I did or how well I did not. But that is minor because the main thing is about this story from Ibrahim Chatta that is now streaming on Prime Video. Now, Osoronga, I think, went to the cinemas 2 years ago or so. But this is clearly not the first time it's debuting. Some people have had the privilege of seeing it before. But now it's only now accessible to a wider mainstream audience on Prime Video worldwide. Now, Osoronga follows the story of a character, 𝐿, played by Ibrahim Chatta, who is told that he has 21 days to live before witches come to claim his life. Now, where the story starts, it starts with an air of quickly establishing what is what, who is who, and why and where we are going to. It tells us that 𝐿 has a problem with one of his friends. He has 4 close friends, played by, if I remember correctly, Eniola Salami, Ibrahim Yekini, Odunlade Adekola. 3 friends. Yes, he's the 4th man in the circle. Okay, and so these are very close friends. We're meant to believe that they are childhood friends, and one of them, Odunlade's character, while planning for 𝐿's wedding, just out of this tells him, I found out that my company and yours were bidding for one contract from the government, and that your company won it. Give it to me. I need it because I need to show a German company that I'm pursuing that I have credibility to execute a larger contract. And that doesn't go well. And they start to exchange words. Not really. Odunlade's character does more of the exchange, but there's an altercation that ends with Odunlade's character threatening 𝐿, telling him, I know what gives you mine. I know what is your backing. Is your mother Abi, your prophetess mother. I will show you. She will weep over you. And thus becomes suspect 1. Suspect 2 is Bimbo Akintola's character. Now, Bimbo Akintola's character had a one-night stand with 𝐿 sometime in the past, I believe. But later along the line, gets to become friends or friendly with 𝐿's intended bride. And then when she finds out that those two want to get married, tells her that you cannot marry this guy. If you go ahead to marry him, you will weep over him. She doesn't even mind words. Her sister, younger sister, comes out and tells her, yes, we will show you we are witches. I am a witch, a strong witch. You will weep over him. And all these, the first and the second suspects, their threats come just before the wedding. And so we see the wedding scene that these guys do end up getting married. And I think it's not too long after the marriage. We're not exactly shown a clear timeline, but not too long after the marriage, 𝐿 is visited by a random stranger on the street where him and his wife went shopping. And then the stranger delivers the message. 21 days, put your affairs in order, fortify yourself, the witches are coming. And first point of call for 𝐿, after these 2 suspects have made their threat, for some reason 𝐿 does not even suspect them. It's me as a viewer who is listing them as suspects. 𝐿 doesn't even think anything of these 2. He runs to his mother, who is the prophetess, who goes into the spirit and then tells him, yes, indeed, you have 21 days. And she's crying and telling him, you know what? I raised you in the Christian way, but you have to go out of the Christian line to find a solution, which is weird, but we'll come back to that. Yeah? And then 𝐿 starts his journey towards looking for solution outside of God. He goes to a professor, he goes to contact a 𝐒𝐭𝐲 priest, he goes on so many merry-go-rounds, to a Muslim cleric, and everybody gives him what they think will be the solution, but he's still having these terrible dreams where he's seeing himself in a coven. Now, maybe coven scenes are some of the best parts of this film. And I think it's in the marketing. It's probably one of the things that they must have used because the scenes are, for the most part, very witchy. We see this character played by Saheed Osupa, the legendary musician. He is the leader of the coven to the best of my understanding, and he keeps giving different relations and threats for the last, for the most part of it. And I think these are the things that made up 𝐿's dreams, and he can't sleep. He's restless. The mom is trying, the wife is trying, and everybody's trying to find solutions for him. His friends as well. And thus we start to try to burst the bubble of whom or who is not responsible. And then this is one of the places where the film excels in how paced it feels. It sets up these mysteries very quickly. It doesn't waste time in setting up all the suspects and the mysteries, including the third one, which is Odunlade's character's wife, mother, who is played by Iya Gbonkan. Now, if you're very familiar with Yoruba movies, you know that when you see Iya Gbonkan, she has this reputation for playing witches. And it's one of the things I like about the film. it tries to subvert expectations. Now, spoiler alert once more in case you missed the first memo. Iya Gbonkan is not a witch. The story plays into that trope that would expect that she is the witch, but she's not. Actually, turns out she's a fervent Christian. And the one or two things that her daughter misinterpreted her say is just has nothing to do with the guy, And then that removes her. She's the third suspect. And that also removes the first suspect, who is his friend. The second suspect, which is Bimbo Akintola's character and her sister, this was even took credit for what is happening to Editor and his wife, when they were confronted, saying that they're daughters of 7 witches, and which was funny. But later turns out that they were just bluffing and it's just a whole coincidence. And yeah, let's just say that the person who turned out to be the witch, which I'm going to leave, for who has not seen this film and wants to go see it, is unexpected. I didn't exactly buy, not that I didn't buy the person, but I didn't buy how the story built up to this person, But I understand it's wanting to subvert expectation. I wanted to do things differently, and that I applaud, because up until the point where we have that revelation, a lot of things that had been happening in the film, just like the Iya Gbonkan's revelation that she's innocent, just about the film subverting expectation, which I thought was clever, which I thought was good, and the person who ended up being this, it was, again, I still have my reservations about that, but in terms of subverting expectations, the film does well with that. Now, generally, this film has this feel of VCD era stuff. Yeah. And if you were expecting, because I've heard witches, that this is something similar to 𝐒𝐿𝐴, it's not. It's not. 𝐒𝐿𝐴 still remains very revered in witchy storytelling. Because this one, while it tells us they are witches, the poster shows witches, or at least something that looks witchy. What's it called? The teaser, the trailers, and all. In fact, even the title has, I think it's a subtitle. The subtitle has something witch in it. But there's not so much. It's not so much about that subject in the film. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I think it all, like I said, it all plays into the film wanted to subvert expectations. But yeah, if you tell us a film and the story is about witches, we have certain expectations. We can't help it. But the witch angle of this film and of this story is more like a plot device. It's a very character-driven story, and and the things that concern him. And yeah, it's not a bad one. It's just it very much subverts expectations that people might typically have going into it. But yeah, I did like Osoronga, all saying I liked it. Like I said, it felt very akin to VCD era stuff. The audio was a bit choppy here and there. In fact, most parts of it were choppy. A lot of the times, characters' mouth movements were not syncing with what we're watching on screen. And even when they were syncing, you couldn't help but feel like this felt like an ADR, where the audio had been maybe people went to the studio to go replace the audio because maybe what they captured on set was bad. It felt like that a lot of times. And that had the ability, more often than not, to throw me out. It did shake me up a bit. The visuals, nothing spectacular. Everything about it, the feel, even how it sets up the beach, from the way that there's a scene and the way they wear Odunlade's character. We're being told his backstory, the flashback, a lot of it felt VCD era-ish, but does that make it a bad film? No, it doesn't. But I won't be surprised a lot of people who then end up seeing this thing on Prime Video will be wondering why. Why did this thing just go straight to YouTube or VCD or DVD or something, and just not Prime Video? I won't be surprised if a lot of people have that feel, because the feel of the film just lends credence to that argument. But yeah, like I said, it's not a bad story. I actually liked it. I applaud it for subverting expectations more often than not. And yeah, it works. Hasn't been the worst thing I've seen, not even close. It was a good watch. It was a good watch. Just don't go in hoping to be mind blown, like I've said, or expecting something very witchy. It's just not that kind of story. Okay, so but let me know in the comments, have you seen Osoronga? Do you like it? Do you still intend to see it? Were you hoping to see it? Have you not seen it? And what does this review do for you? Just let me know in the comments. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.